rides my coattails with the R rating. Then the hairy mother ups the ante by dying. What a well, guess what, Wolverine? I'm dying in this one too. To understand why I took a cat nap on 1,200 gallons of high-test fuel, I need to take you back to the dewy slopes of 6 weeks ago. I got international, taking out mass murderers, gangsters, unspeakable criminals. People no one would even touch, except me. I'm gonna touch them all over. And then he jumps in and goes, "Hey, it's Gail calling. I love this shiny suit. It really brings out the in your eyes." And he goes, "Whatever you're paying, I'll double it." Chinese or something. Then he goes, "I don't speak Cantonese, Mr. Oh, I'm not even going to attempt that, but I did take 8th grade Spanish. So, ¿dónde está la biblioteca?" Which literally translates to, "I don't bargain, Falcon." Then he jumps through the whole window and stuff, and then he goes, Oh, this isn't Gilbert's. I am so sorry. I thought this was a bleaching party." And then he jumps behind the counter.
Oh, hello. I know, right?
Welcome back, everyone. Happy New Year. Ryan Reynolds blessing us with new Deadpool in 2021, ringing in the new year. There's a whole bunch of Deadpool stuff that's actually happening now behind the scenes at Marvel, so it's actually starting to spin up in a really exciting way, so we'll break it down. 2021 already looking so much better than 2020, so be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I will be doing Deadpool videos throughout the year as we learn more about what's going on with him in the MCU. Now we finally have a window when they're actually going to release Deadpool 3. But if you have no idea what's going on with this, why he's with this kid doing this big Deadpool monologue, he's actually working on another movie right now called The Atom Project with this actor who's doing this Deadpool monologue, a full Deadpool monologue ribbing on Wolverine and dropping enough curse words that they had to edit it out. Keep in mind, this is a super young kid, and he totally crushed that Deadpool scene that he's doing with Ryan Reynolds. So this is just him doing more classic Ryan Reynolds stuff, dropping funny Deadpool videos throughout the year while they're also working on a bunch of other movies. Like he's got 1 billion movies that he's working on the next couple of years while Deadpool 3 is happening behind the scenes. For the past couple of years, he's been talking about the MCU, Deadpool 3, Kevin Feige. It seems like it's been 1 million years at this point just because 2020 drug on for so long. But really, all the Deadpool 3 news started the minute the Fox-Disney deal was announced way back in 2017. Even as Deadpool 2 was just coming out in theaters, we had heard that there was going to be a Fox-Disney deal, and that's when people started to talk about Deadpool in the MCU and what that would look like. But it really wasn't until 2019, after Avengers Endgame came out in theaters, that's around the time that the Fox-Disney deal actually closed through the government. They approved it, and they got all those characters back officially. That's when Kevin Feige was allowed to start hiring people to actually write the new Fantastic Four movie, the new X-Men reboot movies that they said that they're doing, and the new Deadpool 3 movie. That's why for the past year or so, every time you see him appear on a talk show or appear with Hugh Jackman doing Wolverine X-Men stuff, they did a bunch of those during 2020. It's just him hyping up Deadpool continuing in the MCU, while continuing to take shots at himself and Hugh Jackman as they continue to do their other projects on the side. That's why you see him posting all those videos together, because they have a bunch of side projects and charities that they do, and they use their funny Deadpool-Wolverine in their real-life relationship to just hype that up. Hands down, my favorite one, though, was the Wolverine Origins joke that they did.
That fell apart quickly. Ooh. Guess it's just you and me, Logan.
I guess so.
You know what that makes this a reunion for?
X-Men Origins reunite. Yeah.
Liev Schreiber is so funny in that Wolverine Origins team reunite. But the big thing that just happened a little while ago is Marvel finally officially announced Deadpool 3. They officially hired writers, and they'll announce a director soon too, probably before the end of this year. Originally, I wanted Taika Waititi to do it because he expressed an interest in the Deadpool character. He said he was a huge fan, but then they announced Thor 4, Love and Thunder, and they announced he was doing a Star Wars movie after that, so he is way too busy to do a Deadpool movie right now. But they did confirm that Deadpool 3 will be rated R, so don't freak out about that. They're not going to try and shoehorn him into a PG-13 rating just because they want him to be in the MCU. If you didn't know or you hadn't realized before, there's kind of this unspoken or softly spoken rule at Disney that all the mainstream Marvel films have to be PG-13, just because of the way they market it and the way it all works together. They inherited some rated R movies now because they own the Fox movies technically, but they're actually going to create an adult section for Disney Plus where a lot of that's going to live. So eventually you will see all the Deadpool movies on Disney Plus, but they already confirmed that Deadpool is an MCU character and he's going to cross over into future regular mainstream MCU movies like Avengers 5, the future X-Men reboot movies once they get ready with that franchise, other people's movies as well too, like hopefully Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. Because supposedly as part of all the talks with Deadpool 3, they're also negotiating a special contract for Ryan Reynolds that will keep him playing Deadpool for a long time, but instead of doing a billion more R-rated Deadpool solo movies after Deadpool 3, because Disney's not super comfortable doing that, they'll use Deadpool more like a supercharged version of Stan Lee with all the cameos in different Marvel movies. Like Deadpool will do a ton of crossover movies and smaller funny cameo scenes in movies where it makes sense that he'd show up. They kind of had to do the same thing with the Hulk for the last several years for completely different reasons though. But Hulk did get an arc in the Marvel movies. It's just broken up across a bunch of different Avengers movies. So going forward, Deadpool is going to be like a hardcore version of Stan Lee in the MCU, commenting on all the action, pointing out things, taking shots at people. Like there's always things in Marvel movies that just don't work real well or jokes that don't land. You bring in Deadpool so that you can make fun of that kind of stuff. Think about the way he made fun of all the other Fox X-Men movies. He'll do the exact same thing for all the Marvel movies, making references and commentary about Avengers Infinity War, The Snap, Iron Man dying, making fun of Robert Downey Jr. in real life, making fun of Chris Evans for retiring as Captain America, like Deadpool making old man Cap jokes. Jokes about how the MCU is over and the hype is dead after Avengers Endgame, just taking shots at everyone in the MCU, including the actors and people like Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is also an Easter egg in the first Deadpool movie in the pizza box. If you were ever going to make Kevin Feige a canonical MCU character, you would do it in a Deadpool movie. But the way they're going to handle Deadpool 3 being rated R, but also kind of wanting to tie him to the MCU, is they'll do something like they did during Spider-Man Far From Home in that opening scene. That funny slideshow montage with all the dead characters. Something funny like that, where they use their images, they reference the characters, but like Iron Man himself didn't appear on screen during Spider-Man Far From Home. Black Widow didn't appear during Spider-Man Far From Home. So Deadpool can still do a bunch of MCU and Avengers stuff in his Deadpool solo movies. It's just that they have to be really careful about the way they reference that stuff so that it all makes sense. As for the actual story of Deadpool 3, a lot of that will just address how he's going to be coexisting with the MCU characters going forward, without totally selling out or bastardizing the character. They also said that they had to cut a ton of Disney jokes out of Deadpool 2, like Ryan Reynolds joking about getting melted into a Disney liquid for making jokes that they didn't like. But it was actually the Fox people that made them take all those Disney jokes out because they were afraid that it would hurt the buyout deal because that was all going on while they were still making Deadpool 2. So they're like, please don't make fun of Disney too much. We don't want to tank this deal. Now it sounds like from what the Disney CEO has said about Deadpool being such a huge fan of that character and Kevin Feige, it sounds like they're totally cool with Ryan Reynolds taking shots at anyone or anything that he wants to. My favorite pick, just in terms of comic book stories for them to adapt for the movie that would actually be really timely and apropos of MCU Deadpool now, because so much is happening with the multiverse, would be Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Except you do it as Deadpool kills the Fox Marvel Universe, because obviously they have to address all that continuity, and clearly it's probably going to be a multiverse explainer. But that's how you do Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. And they just use it as an opportunity to clean up the timelines like he said he was doing in the Deadpool 2 post-credit scene. Like, take that concept and do the maximum effort version of that for an entire movie. And with all the multiverse and time travel happening during Marvel Phase 4 movies and Disney Plus series, villains like Kang the Conqueror showing up in the Loki series and Ant-Man 3, it also feels like that kind of story fits real well with where they're taking the MCU right now before Avengers 5 picks up. Then because they already confirmed that Deadpool will be in the future MCU movies crossing over, you put him legit in Avengers 5, and that's where you actually see him interacting with a lot of the other characters in a big way. But because they haven't hired a director yet, and it takes a while to turn a movie around, the earliest they'll probably be able to get Deadpool 3 released will be 2023. Let me know in the comments though, which other movies do you think that Deadpool will show up in first? Obviously, right now, the top pick is Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness, just a real small cameo scene just to let us know that he's out on the horizon. While you wait for everything, click here for that brand new Marvel Fantastic Four teaser video, and click here to watch Tom Holland reacting to Spider-Man 3 and Venom crossover. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, maximum effort,